Welcome back to Wordy Wednesday. Today I thought we would talk about Ye Olde English because Ye Olde this or that, Ye Olde candle shop, Ye Olde shoe shop, Ye Olde heaven only knows what is just ubiquitous. That was one of our words of the day a while back, so I expect you all know what that means. And there are some serious problems with Ye Olde anything, and we'll discuss that when we come back. Okay, so what's with Ye Olde whatever? Well, we are word nerds. I'm a word nerd. You wouldn't be here if you were not a word nerd. You'd find something else to watch. And as word nerds, we know what ye means. Ye is a word that, you can barely flip a page in the Bible without coming across ye. It means you. That's all. It just means you. So why would somebody say, you oldie candle shop? What sense does that make? And when we look at this, we have to ask ourselves, did medieval English speakers actually have some confusion about this? Did they believe that ye and the were the same? Let's face it, they thought the earth was flat and they didn't bathe, so we're not expecting very much from them intellectually. But were they that slow-witted? No, of course not. They understood the difference between the and you. They weren't saying, hey there, the, run out and pick up ye chicken and pull out ye eggy from under ye chicken. That's not what was going on. So if that's not what was going on, let's take a look at what was going on. Let's look at what ye looked like to a medieval person who would have come across it in a book. Well, probably not, because we're not talking about a highly literate society, but let's assume they somehow got their hands on a book and there it was. So this is what it would have looked like. Now, the first thing you notice when you look at this is the E is on top. Now, we're not used to that. We are used to letters running one right after the other from left to right. But that was kind of like more along the lines of a suggestion to medieval people, at just letter order. It's just, I think if they figured that if they got all the letters roughly in the same word group, I've seen some old manuscripts, they didn't even have gaps between the letters. It's like literally one long word that just kept going. So yeah, that looks weird to us, but to them it was as normal as any of the other weirdness they were doing as they were attempting to become a literate society. And in fact, if that E had been a T, the word wouldn't be ye, the word would have been that. So why is that? Let's take another look. Let's take a longer look. This time, let's look at that Y. So what do you think? That's not a lie. That letter is a thorn. And it's a script thorn. That's how they wrote it in those days. In order to see what a thorn looks like now, let me show you thorn now in modern typeface. In other words, if you went to Iceland to type a letter, this letter would be on your Icelandic keyboard. So here it's the uppercase and lowercase thorn. Yeah, that doesn't look anything like a Y, does it? I'm not even close. So while we're looking at letters, let's look at um, thorisaz or turisaz. That is the original rune from which we get thorn. This rune is from a group of runes that are called the Elder Futhark or Futark. And this is the original thorn, what thorn would have looked like 1,500 to 1,000 years ago. As you can see, it's the same basic shape, but it's all in straight lines because that would have been easy for them to carve, straight lines. And of course, runes are made to be easy to carve. So that's thorisaz. And as I said, thorisaz or turisaz. So what's the deal there? Well, we as English speakers love our THs. And I did say THs, it is plural. Icelandics, they're crazy about their THs too. They've even got a letter. We don't have a letter. We should have a letter. But the Danes, the Norwegians, the Swedes, the Finns, the Germans, all the THs passing out of their language. At one time, this was all Proto-Germanic. We all came from the same linguistic source. That includes English speakers and Icelandic speakers. All came from that Proto-Germanic language family with the Elder Futhark and that wonderful thorisaz rune, and that's our collective heritage. We've kept it. Other people are getting rid of it. And at some point, just to give you a little teaser, we can talk about that if you would like, those sound changes, because those sound changes were cataloged by some people that you know very, very well, but probably had absolutely no idea they were the fathers of modern linguistics. So that's a little teaser for later. Meantime, we have this wonderful letter, thorn, but it's not our only TH. We have two THs, two very distinct THs. Now, the TH sound is what we call a dental fricative. That's because our tongue is behind our teeth, and we're forcing the air between our tongue and our teeth. And the easy gliding of the air is thought, or though. But the voiced dental fricative, the other one is voiceless. This is the voiced, this, that. And if you put your hand on your face and say this or that, you can actually feel your jaw vibrating. So this is very normal to us. We have words like either and ether. So either or, ether, the old anesthetic, or the space up in the sky above the clouds. We don't have any trouble differentiating between those words. Just easy as pie. The upper part of our leg is a thigh, but we read the Bible, thy will be done. No, we're not sitting around saying, gee, I'm not sure which one of those words I just said. Very easy. This, thistle, no trouble. But for people who don't have that TH sound, not only is it really, really difficult for them to replicate the sound, but it can be really difficult for them to even differentiate it when they hear it. I had a Chinese friend, and he insisted that he could not hear the difference between the voiced and voiceless dental fricatives we know as THs. It just didn't register. To be fair, there were all kinds, because Chinese is a tonal language, all kinds of tones in his language that couldn't tell the difference either. So that's just a question of we're familiar with our own languages. But we have two THs, and we also have two TH letters. So let's look at the second TH letter. This one is called EV. All right, that one just rather looks like a D. Now, EV is a letter that is still in use, not in our alphabet, but linguists use the lowercase ev, the one that looks like a little lowercase d with a cross on the bar. That is the symbol for the voiced dental fricative. So this, that's the symbol. Thorn, the one we've discussed previously, and we saw the beautiful little script version. Thorn, as I mentioned, you go to Iceland, you get yourself an Icelandic typewriter, that letter is going to be there in upper and lower case because people use this, especially in names. Queen Margrethe of Denmark, who is, I think she's somehow related to someone from Iceland. One of her names is Torhildur. Well, okay, she's Danish. She would say Torhildur. It's an Icelandic name, so technically I'm guessing it's pronounced Thorhildur. And I'm assuming if she went to Iceland, she would say Thorhildur and not Torhildur. But as I said, in Denmark, that TH sound is sliding away, just as it is in Sweden and Norway. And it's not like they don't have it. It's just that when they see TH, they say T. So you get yourself a group of Scandinavian friends and you go off and you watch a Marvel superhero movie and you say, look, Thor. Your Scandinavian friends are saying Tor. And that's the word for them. And, we have to respect that because let's face it, it's their word. We kind of stole it from them. So if they say you don't pronounce the H, then I guess you don't pronounce the H. But in fact, we have a lot of sounds in our language that have no relationship to the letters that represent them. I mean, look at CH, cha. That doesn't sound anything like cat and hat, does it? No. The difference is because the TH sound, in particular, it is the voiced dental fricative. Ugh. That sound is in the, this, that, those, all of our teensy weensy little through is voiceless, all of our teensy weensy little useful words, words that have been in our collective vocabulary for many, many centuries. It's a big deal that, that these letters don't have their own special symbol. They did once. They still do now. We just don't use that special symbol. Maybe we should. Maybe we should just sort of reappropriate it and start writing like this. Yeah, I know. At my age, that would be enough to get me put off in the loony bin. Oh, she's senile. But this, anyway, is why ye is not really ye when it's ye olde shoppy. It's the olde shoppy. And so what about old? Put a little e at the end of it. That actually makes a bit of sense. And spelling, as I said, is just formalized spelling, standard spelling, really started in the early 1800s, the beginning of the 19th century. Prior to that, standardization of spelling depended on what school you went to, who your teacher was, what monastery you were in. It was not standardized. And in some cases, it was like a bizarre mess. And this goes back to the fact that the first printing press in England was owned by a man named Caxton. He brought it over. 1476, a really easy date for us to remember because it was 300 years before the Revolution. So, comes over, and he's got a whole bunch of Netherlanders with him who didn't speak English, and they decided that the concept of spelling was greatly overrated, and they spelled things any way they wanted to. They basically spelled as non-native speakers. And given the fact that spelling was pretty sketchy going in, the earliest printed works only reinforce that. So, spelling, no, non-standardized. So, if you had a word like old, O-L-D-E, you wouldn't be pronouncing it oldie. You would probably take that E as a marker indicating that the O, remember when we were in school and we studied long vowels, short vowels, and we know that, for example, bear, B-A-R-E, is different from bar because it has that little vowel marker. The E is silent, but it tells us what to do with the A. Would have told them what to do with the O, and they would say, that is old, it's not old. And so it makes a little bit of sense. But keep in mind, that was by no means standard. This is like something that might have happened in one or two monasteries somewhere, not standard, but there's some sense to it. Shoppy, no. S-H-O-P-P-E, no. That's made up. Because certainly with that many P's and an E, somebody would have attempted to pronounce that as two syllables. So what we have is a mistake. We have people who saw a letter that's no longer in our working alphabet, thorn, thought it looked like a Y, which it doesn't, it looks like a P, but they missed that part, and said, it must be ye olde shoppy. Just a stupid mistake. I blame Hollywood for this, because I do think that if they put a little more effort into historical research, they wouldn't do idiotic things like this, and they have done them. So, in a nutshell, that is our TH situation. But before we go, I came across something recently, very recently, in the last couple of days, that totally annoyed me. And that is the word slay. Now, slay has several meanings. Basically, it means to kill. But it's used metaphorically as well. So, he's so funny, he just slays me, meaning he kills me with laughter. That's the origin of how slay came to mean he amuses the daylights out of me. And what I came across was actually, I think it was a website that had declared slay, the past tense, to be slayed. It's not. When slay is used in its original meaning to kill, the past tense is slain. And slay is considered to be an antique word. It's basically archaic in England. But it survives in the U.S. because newspaper journalists used it during the gangster era. Gangland slayings. They liked that. So we've kept that word alive. And this is a word that has two past tenses, depending on the way in which you are using the word. If you mean someone was literally killed, they were slain. But if you were going to speak about George telling you a funny joke, you wouldn't say, I was slain by that, or you would say, he slayed me. Now, also slew. That is our past tense when we use the word in terms of its original meaning. Someone was killed. John slew Peter. But John didn't slew Peter by telling a funny joke. John slayed Peter. So the modern metaphorical version of slay has the modern, very predictable ed ending. But the older version of slay actually still has the older past tense slew and slain. That, as I said, that just kind of annoyed me because it's such a simple distinction. It's the real meaning of the word, the literal meaning of the word, and then the figurative meaning of the word. The figurative meaning is modern. 100 years ago, nobody would have said, he slayed me with that joke. No, that wouldn't have happened. They didn't use the word like that. So when we adopted that into our modern vocabulary, we adopted it with modern grammar rules. Modern rules of grammar say that past tense is ed. But we have a lot of verbs, and these are called strong verbs that have totally different methods of turning them into their past tense. For example, think, thought, bring, brought. Most of these are very, very common words too. They would have to be very, very common words in order to have survived the word change over time. That's one I wanted to throw out to you. Would you like to talk about strong verbs, weak verbs? Is that something you would find interesting? Other things, do you want the history of some of these words? Do you want more runes? Remember, the Futhark is this entire runic alphabet we can take a look at what the runes are and what the modern versions are, which can be a lot of fun if you want to write your name in straight lines. But Wordy Wednesday, let's take a look at where you'd like to see this go. Also, if you've got your linguistic pet peeves, drop me a note in the comments section. All right, have a great day. Before we go, very quickly, yes, I meant to do this. Before we go, I am digging out a picture of our littlest subscriber, Evelyn. The reason for this is I have been getting a lot of inappropriate links in the comments section. And YouTube, thank goodness, is filtering these out. And we've talked about this before. I've said if you type something without spacing after the period, YouTube thinks it's a web address and throws your comment automatically into a little box where I have to go take a look at it later. And more of these are, hotbags.com. So, just as a little reminder of why it is that your comment might accidentally get waylaid by YouTube, we're going to take a quick look at our littlest subscriber, Evelyn, because this is why we have to be super careful. Anybody who thinks little Evelyn cannot click on a link has never had children, because trust me, by the time they're 8 months old, they can grab that mouse and click on something. All right, we are heading out with a picture of Evelyn.